rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events. This is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. I am your host, Rick. Mrs. Whiskey mentioned something the other day, and I just keep cracking up every time I do that now. Anyway, yeah, it's for something else. It's another day, another time, another story for all to hear at a later date. Anyway, wow. So, things went at such a furious pace now that things are starting to kind of slow down a little bit. It seems like, there's just so many things that could be happening here, but aren't. Well, wait a minute. I take that back. There's quite a bit happening in the world. It's just not happening here in the United States necessarily. So I got a couple of things going on tonight. A couple of articles that, when put together, make for sort of an interesting correlation, let's say, to what's going on here in America. But first, let's go ahead and get our newest submission for the Pledge of Allegiance. Our very own Bam over on Rumble has submitted a Pledge of Allegiance entry. So if you are of mind, please stand. Remove your hat if you're wearing one like me. If not, still go ahead and put your hand over your heart and follow along with Bam, our newest entry in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I thank you, Bam, for putting in that wonderful entry of the Pledge of Allegiance. If you want to hear your rendition of the Pledge of Allegiance done here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself performing the pledge in your style and take that audio file that's created and attach it to an email and send it off to me. Send it to fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, F-A-N-S, at AmericanPerspective.online. You know, it's kind of interesting, and actually Bam's pledge coming in today is sort of made me think. See, all of you folks, you pretty much know what I look like. You know how I sound because, of course, you come here and you listen to me. You watch me on the video. If you're on the audio portion of the program only, you can still head on over to rumble.com and see what I look like. The funny thing is that you folks, unless you've sent me photos of yourselves, I have literally zero idea outside of things like the Pledge of Allegiance. I have zero idea what you folks sound like. And Bam, I don't know what I was thinking. I really don't. But Bam has such a pleasant voice. She really does. And I don't know what I would have expected. But when I first played that, because I converted it from one format to another to make it fit with the thing. But I don't know what I was expecting, but oh my gosh, her voice is just, to me, it was unexpected. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I was expecting, but thank you very much for that. And it would be fantastic for all of us to get together for it. So yeah, it's, Nana over on Rumble is saying I sound like a 12-year-old, so I have not tried to submit a pledge. That's fine. It doesn't matter what you sound like. And I agree with Buddy. That is a weak excuse. Anyway, I I don't know what, but very, very, very nice job, Bam. And as you can see, it's really kind of very interesting, very easy to do for that. Okay. So, yeah. Anyway, no, I'm still wearing socks, Amy. I'm still wearing socks. Anyway, all right. Let's go ahead and get things going here. Let's talk about the flag shirt, theflagshirt.com. That is theflagshirt.com. It's because I try to wear their shirts often on this program. And what's strange is I actually have my own clothing line, and I push these guys more than I do my own stuff, my own local gear. But it's just because of the quality, the patriotism. It's just fantastic. It's run by a veteran. It's a veteran-owned company, and they do all kinds of patriotic gear. They've got, sweaters, sweatshirts, T-shirts, polo shirts like what I have. They have performance stuff. They have all kinds of stuff that's available for men, women, and kids. Also accessories. It's all wrapped around this whole idea of American perspective type stuff. American patriotism, I should say, is really what it is. But hey, if you go to theflagshirt.com and take a look at their selection, you can always, if you purchase $75 or more, you will get free shipping. But I know, folks, that sometimes you can't go and put in $75 to get free shipping. So I'm going to help you out just a little bit. If you go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online, yes, that's flagshirt.americanperspective.online, and you'll find, when you go there, you'll find a promo code. Just copy and paste it into the promo box at checkout at theflagshirt.com, and you'll get $5 off your order. Go to flagshirt.americanperspective.online and grab that promo code, stick it in the promo code box at theflagshirt.com's checkout, and you'll get $5 off your order. Go to theflagshirt.com and get yourself patriotized. All right. Well, the Trump effect, the Trump effect is in effect. And let me just say that it's really pretty sweet, considering the fact that we just lived through like the last 4 years. Okay. 4 years. What we went through, and we're not even through the 4 years yet. I mean, there's still a couple of months left before we're done with this administration and on to bigger and better things. But here's the deal. The left and the media in particular, the media has started to break down. And in fact, I don't know, Morning Joe, I think Mark Levin calls him the Morning Schmo, but the Morning Joe with Mika Brzezinski, his wife, because apparently they married each other after they were co-hosts on the show. Kind of makes you wonder what happened after the cameras and the lights go off. Oh, bad thought. Anyway, so the Morning Joe, they went and spent a little bit of time with Trump at Mar-a-Lago and had a conversation with Trump. And so it's kind of interesting. They came back and they were like, look, we don't agree with him, which is, that's understandable that you don't agree with him. But we don't agree with him. But anyway, the point being is that they essentially were cordial with Trump. And they got eviscerated by the left. The left itself can't believe that these people who were so staunchly against Trump would actually go and sit down with Trump and have a conversation with the man. Now, the reason for this, folks, is because of the fact that no matter what, in terms of the mainstream media spent a lot of time saying that Trump is Hitler, that Trump is the the devil, he's Satan, he's going to destroy the world. Ah! And in reality, it was all bullshit. They knew he wasn't Trump or wasn't Hitler. They knew he wasn't going to be totalitarian. They knew all of this. And now what are they doing? They're trying to get back into Trump's good graces for whatever reason, because of the fact that when he gets into office, they may not be around much longer. I mean, even The View, for an example, The View actually had some, I don't know if they were like advertisements, but there were some reports that ABC News was actually looking for more conservative people to like be on the show. And because they know that they're starting to go down in the ratings, they're starting to, what am I saying? They're down at the bottom of the ratings, and they're having some serious issues with getting viewers, because a lot of viewers, even on the left, a lot of the viewers are like, oh my God, you've been telling us all this crap, and now all of a sudden it's over, and this is done. And so I was actually kind of joking with myself the other day when I heard about the whole View thing. I was like, hey, maybe I should apply and become a host on The View. What do you think? Anyway, yeah, no, I would never do that because I couldn't sit with those cackling hens at all. But anyway, what's really glorious is when you start seeing left-wing outlets that are not paying attention to what's happening, and these writers, they have literally no idea that they kind of screw up their own articles. And it's just basically showing you how literally unobservant these people actually are. So here, let me explain what I mean. Here in Woke Spy, New York Times fumbles its own fact check on RFK Jr. So here's the thing. RFK obviously was appointed or is nominated for Trump's Secretary of Health and Human Services. And he was the focus of a New York Times article titled "Kennedy's Vow to Take on Big Food Could Alienate His Own GOP Allies." Now, it largely focused on his ambition to make America healthy again, specifically his war that's on processed foods. Okay? And so here it is. The New York Times itself took issue with Kennedy's remarks about Fruit Loops. Now, he basically compared Fruit Loops in the U.S. and Canada. And what he found, of course, and this is his quote, he asked, why do we have Fruit Loops in this country that have 18 or 19 ingredients, and you go to Canada and it only has 2 or 3? And this was said on an interview with MSNBC. Well, the article claimed that Kennedy was wrong on the ingredient count, that he had deliberately ignored, or they deliberately ignored the essence of his claim that American food is overly processed compared to its Canadian counterpart. Okay? Now, in this exact same paragraph within the Times, so they took issue with the fact that he was saying that there's more ingredients in the American version than the Canadian version. So here, the Times hilariously admitted in the same article, but the Canadian version, this is a quote, but the Canadian version does have natural colorings made from blueberries and carrots, while the U.S. product contains red dye 40, yellow 5, blue 1, as well as butylated hydroxytoluene, or BHT, a lab-made chemical that is used for freshness, according to the ingredient label. Wait. I thought that was RFK's entire point, was that there were more ingredients in the American made Fruit Loops, then the Canadian made one. The New York Times basically ignored the whole thing put together. And of course, social media took immediately to it and was saying things like, as you can see, the ingredient list is just completely identical, except the U.S. product contains, and listed off a whole bunch of stuff. Another one said they totally contradicted themselves. He was wrong. The ingredients list is roughly the same, except for all the crap that is added in the U.S., which is exactly what RFK Jr. said. Another one said, translation, RFK is wrong in saying the product ingredients are different, even though we say they are different in the next sentence. So, and it just continues. Yeah. So obviously the left mainstream media, they have literally no idea what they're doing. They have completely blown up over this. They are so lost. They don't even know what they're doing. They really don't. They have no idea. And in fact, it's even getting worse. So I mentioned this the other night, but the left, there have been a lot of accounts on X that have been staunchly leftist accounts. Paid, unpaid, doesn't make a difference. And a bunch of them have moved over to this new platform, apparently called Blue Sky. Well, I guess when you have a new platform and you're looking for a new echo chamber, you might want to think about, reading some of the laws and rules and things like that go up there. So here's the thing, and believe me, I've seen a lot of these accounts. Okay, I've seen a lot of these accounts that have left and gone to Blue Sky and have been like, "Hey, come join me on Blue Sky. I'm so," or "Come join me on this other platform," and they show this blue butterfly logo or something like that. Okay, so here in Red State, the left's emotional support social media Blue Sky is going about as well as you might expect. So here's what's happening. These leftists are running over to this other platform, and it's basically described as a left-leaning Twitter knockoff. But they're running over there, and apparently they're saying things over there. And whenever they say something over there, all of a sudden, they're getting banned or blocked or kicked or whatever, even though what they're saying is roughly along the same lines as the rest of the left, except for the problem is that somebody somewhere has decided automagically that that's offensive. And so they're going over there in the hopes of getting into their echo chamber, and they're getting blocked because they're saying stuff that somebody else finds offensive, and so immediately they get blocked. I mean, this is crazy. The leftists are reporting everything according to this group, okay? According to this article. On the 15th, there's a new account called Libs of Blue Sky that has shown up on X. And so now, just like Libs of TikTok, I'm guessing it's probably the same organization or group of people that's doing the same. But Libs of Blue Sky has already begun documenting some of the wacky stuff that's going on. And so the occupants apparently spend a lot of time cursing X, cursing Trump, cursing conservatives, cursing and attacking each other. So on the 15th, Libs of Blue Sky posted an update from Blue Sky's safety account stating that it had received over 42,000 reports of harmful content in 24 hours. Now, wait a minute. If this is like a supposed safe space, Why are they reporting? Why are there so many reports? Now that breaks down, according to their math, it breaks down to about 3,000 reports per hour. Apparently, they're so intent on making sure that their little bubbles stay intact that they're mass blocking people without warning, and oftentimes without double checking who it is that they're blocking first. Oh, this is just, oh my gosh. So, and of course, that kind of behavior is actually being encouraged. You'll remember I got blocked by Rick Wilson, you know, the guy who created the Lincoln Project, or otherwise known as the Lenin Project, and has been called or mentioned by Dan Bongino as having a very particular smell to him. But anyway, Rick Wilson was telling people to block early on the first offense without explanation. So End Wokeness, who is an account on X, apparently headed over there real quick and wanted to see a experiment. And that account posted, there are only 2 genders on Blue Sky, and was like, within seconds, he was banned. He was, I mean, we're talking 30 seconds worth. Oh boy. And if you say anything against Trump or Elon Musk, they will like it. Yeah. Okay. But anyway, they'll freaking just, they'll swarm and and hit the like button or the heart button, whatever kind of thing it is. Anyway, it's just, the left's breakdown is just absolutely fantastic and delicious. And, you know, those leftist tears that I was drinking in my leftist tears tumbler on the day after the election? Well, yeah, I'm enjoying every single one of this. These morons put us through almost 4 years or close to 4 years of hell. Well, not really hell. I can't really say that, but they put it through us. They put us through a whole bunch of bad things. And now things are starting to come back to bite them in the ass hard. And I'm loving it. All right. So you recall last night, oh, I'm being told, yeah, it actually was hell. But anyway, I don't have enough time in a day. I'm going to tell you though, sorry, I'm mentioning, Nana of JJS was like, mental note, go to Blue Sky and get an account just to mess with them. I don't have enough time in the day. I already mess with a lot of the accounts on X, but it's really funny to watch some of the accounts on X saying, hey, I've lost like 25,000 followers. Is everybody going someplace else? And they're freaking out about it. But anyway. So you recall, I mentioned this last night, that Biden had announced over the weekend that there were long-range missiles, and he had lifted the restriction for those long-range missiles to be used in Russia, and to attack Russia, I should say. And remember how I was saying that there was a couple of possible ways that this could go? Well, apparently it's going in the direction of escalation and potentially moving it toward World War III. Because of the fact, and this is in Yahoo News, Russia claims it shot down U.S.-made ATACMS missiles and, of course, issues a nuclear threat. So, yeah. The Russian Defense Ministry said on Tuesday that it defeated a Ukrainian attack on the western Bryansk region shortly before the Kremlin updated its nuclear weapons doctrine to allow for nuclear strikes in response to foreign ballistic missile attacks. Two officials also confirmed to ABC News that Ukraine had, for the first time, fired at targets in Russia. Ukrainian forces fired 6 of the what was described as ballistic missiles, the Russian Defense Ministry wrote on its official Telegram page, 5 of which were downed and the 6th was damaged. According to confirmed data, American-made ATACMS operational tactical missiles were used, it wrote. Fragments, the ministry added, fragments fell on the technical territory of a military facility in the Bryansk region. A fire broke out and it was extinguished. So Bryansk borders Kursk to the west. A U.S. official provided a differing account to the strike, saying that Russia had intercepted 2 of 8 of them. The other 6 were assessed to have hit a ammunition storage site in Kharkiv, the official said. So we're now going and we're going to be going back and forth about between what Russia puts out, which is potentially propaganda. What am I saying? Going to be propaganda, and our own intelligence, which, is going to be what it's going to be realistically. So things might be heating up in Eastern Europe. And that's kind of interesting because I also saw an article today that Russia has cut off their natural gas pipeline to Austria. So they've cut that off. Anyway, so yeah, this is not going to go away, folks. It's just going to continue, and we just need to start accepting what's going on here. So, yeah. Anyway. All right. So Trump is taking a lot of heat, especially by leftist Democrat governors and congressmen and stuff, because he admitted that he was potentially or was going to use. I saw that too. Dual Helix over on Rumble says they cut some undersea cables around Finland. That's actually twice that some undersea cables have been cut over in the Baltic Sea. So we're gonna have to find. I mean, eventually we'll hopefully know who did that. But yeah, things are heating up over in Europe once again. But all of that being the case, even here at home, the Trump administration has, or Trump himself has pointed out that he is planning on using the Emergency Powers Act to be able to engage with military folks to deport the illegal aliens, the close to 11 million estimated or more, but in the country. Well, his first targets apparently are going to be those who are criminals. And then there's these folks. Here in LifeSet, Trump administration targets 1.3 million people ignoring deportation orders. President-elect Donald Trump has confirmed plans to declare a national emergency to launch a mass deportation program aimed at removing illegal, and I'm sorry, I'm going to replace this word, aliens, because they're not immigrants. They're aliens. The announcement made on Truth Social signals a major shift in immigration enforcement under the incoming administration. As reported by the Washington Examiner, and this was the response of the Tom Fitton thing that I mentioned about. And so that, of course, got all of these liberal governors and everything else. For an example, Katie Hobbs down in Arizona was on a program being interviewed, and she literally said that they weren't going to do anything to help what was going on. So that, they're just going crazy. And Gavin Newsom has said he's convening a special session. He's going to try and fight against it. And realistically, none of these governors actually have any constitutional grounds to stand on with this. I talked about that because, that's, it's fully, and the Supreme Court has done this every single year. But fully the federal government's responsibility is basically the situation. Well, during his campaign, of course, Trump pledged to tackle illegal immigration head on, promising to deport more individuals living in the U.S. illegally than any previous administration. And so he tapped Homan. And Tom Homan, of course, is a no-nonsense bulldog. We've covered that on this program several times with that. But apparently they're going to focus on criminals, the illegal, the people who have stayed over for their stay. And so this has got the left just totally freaking messed up. And in fact, speaking of Springfield, Ohio, thanks Sergeant No over on Rumble. Springfield, Ohio, apparently the Haitian migrants that were over there are starting to move out. That I heard maybe it's called a rumor. I haven't confirmed it yet, but I heard a rumor that the Haitian migrants are starting to move out of Springfield as well. So anyway, this whole is just got the left all up in arms. Well, one of the major reasons for Trump's scenario is this. So you heard about the Tren de Aragua gangs that have, quote, invaded Colorado. In particular, I believe it was, I can't think of where, I know it started with an A, but it's right out, it's a suburb of Denver. And I can't remember the name right off the top of my head. But anyway, the Tren de Araguas have apparently already set up shop in these 16, that's right, 16 states. Thank you. Aurora, Colorado, dual helix goes ahead and puts that on there. I told you, I have the smartest audience in the ethosphere, and they keep me on my toes for sure. But anyway, the Tren de Aragua gang has already set up shop in 16 states, according to now. Keep in mind, this is Biden. This is still Biden's Homeland Security. This is Biden's Homeland Security thing. Okay. So, this was the New York Post that found this out. Homeland Security officials last week were warned in an internal intelligence memo about the TDA's growing presence across the country, most recently in Washington, D.C., Virginia, Montana, and Wyoming. Now, the gang has already had footholds in these places: California, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Louisiana, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Wisconsin, according to the memo and of previous reporting by the New York Post. Take a look at this graph here, people, or this graphic. Look at this thing. These are places where there's Tren de Aragua activity. And you're sitting here trying to tell me that this is a nothing to worry about. That this is something that, no, you don't have to worry about the incoming, illegal aliens that have crossed our borders that we don't even bother to vet. I mean, this is a Venezuelan gang, folks. This is probably about as bad as they come. All right. And so this is just incredible in terms of what's going on here. And you don't think that these gangs are going to, leave easily. No, they're not. So I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be a fight to get these gangs out of the country. It's going to be a fight and may actually take something like military involvement in order to do this. As 3 Chevy points out, their gangs are paramilitary operations. That's right. So, yeah, this is not good, people. This is not good at all. Well, now, one of the most politicized, honestly, and, shall we say, well-known potential or well-known deaths due to this illegal immigration is Laken Riley. Well, now, according to the trial and cross-examinations and examinations of witnesses, the Laken Riley murder suspect is confirmed to be part of the Tren de Araguas. This guy came here, according to his own, or according to testimony coming out of this trial. He came here originally on a flight that was sponsored by the Biden administration. People, this is bad. This is just the start. Now, this is being reported in the Blaze, but I've heard the testimony of the gentleman who was saying that, yeah, they got flown in. They got flown in, and then they moved. And when they moved, yeah, this is scary. The gang itself has been connected to murders, violent thefts, extortions, and human trafficking rings, as members have expanded their area of operations, as I just pointed out to you. Yeah. So he took advantage of the United States' open border, illegally crossed into El Paso, Texas in 2022. He then was released into the country, where he eventually ended up in New York City. While there, he was arrested for lesser crimes, but was released before ICE could put a detainer on him. A roommate of the accused, his name is, I'm not even going to say his name because I don't like doing that, testified that they were able to get from New York City to Athens, Georgia in September of 2023 by going to the Roosevelt Hotel, where they received what is called a humanitarian flight. On January 20th, the protection of criminal illegal aliens in America ends once and for all, President Donald Trump campaign said on Monday in response to this revelation. Prosecutors are calling Riley's murder a crime of opportunity. The accused allegedly encountered her while she was out for a jog near the college. Data from Riley's smartwatch revealed she fought off her attacker for almost 20 minutes before he was able to use a rock to crush her skull. Yeah. As if there was any more reason, as if this administration had any more reason to get rid of these criminal elements in this. Yeah. This is absolutely despicable. This is despicable. We have people, I mean, Joe Biden, honestly, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and everybody, especially Alejandro Mayorkas and anybody else who was in the chain of command here for allowing these assholes through our border, should immediately be brought up on charges, impeached, removed from office. This could only take days, just off of this. Just off of this. That's because they usurped their constitutionally and oath-given duty to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, to be able to enforce all the laws that they are supposed to. These guys need to be gone. Just gone, literally. Not figuratively, literally. And once they are gone, they should have some criminal accessory charges brought against them as soon as they become civilians, for Lake and Riley and for any others that have died from all of this. This is despicable. Totally despicable. And this is exactly why the United States switched over to Donald Trump and the Republicans. This is disgusting and despicable. And believe me, now that they're here, it's going to take a lot to get rid of them. So don't think for 1 second that the military isn't a viable consideration here. To me, hey, SEAL teams 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, however many that we have should all be brought back here. Green Beret units, they should all be brought back here, and just go around and just get rid of these guys. End of story. This is an invasion. They are here for a purpose. They are here to ingrain themselves and run criminal operations in this country. Not to mention what else do they do? What were the things that were listed in this? They are into murder, theft, extortion, human trafficking rings. These are all things that America is going to suffer. The American people are going to suffer. Okay? These people are they are literally murderers. They are, completely illegal. I can't even speak about this anymore. This is just so disgusting. I can't even imagine being president of the United States, swearing on an oath to be the top cop across the entire organization, across the entire country, and not to basically abjugate my duties for this country. I can't even imagine. Joe Biden ought to be ashamed. That's if he's not pooping his pants. Like, he really doesn't care. I mean, honestly, he really doesn't care. All right. So. All right. Well, a couple more things, speaking of criminal and criminal behavior. A couple more things that we have found out, obviously, is the fact that, obviously we're waiting on Jack Smith's final report. He has said that he was going to retire, quit, whatever way you wanted to do it. But he wanted to retire, quit, etc. And he is supposed to file his final brief by December 2nd. So it'll be kind of interesting to see where that goes. However, as far as that ends up, we have a couple of local cases. So we know that the federal cases are probably going to get dismissed or dropped or whatever you want to call about it because of Trump's being elected to president. But there's a couple of local ones that are having some, let's say a little bit of heartburn here in terms of what's coming. So first thing was last week, Judge Mershon kind of suspended everything, cleared off all of the dates that were there. He did that back on November 12th. In anticipation, he kind of said the reason why he was doing it is because he needed more time to think about what it was that they were going to do with the particular case. Well, apparently now, he is still awaiting Alvin Bragg Twinkies. He's still awaiting the DA's sentencing recommendation in order to figure out where to go. So the Manhattan District Attorney said on a Bloomberg report on Tuesday morning, claiming that Donald Trump's sentencing had been adjourned was incorrect. The wire was based on an automated schedule alert that was sent out by the court that stemmed from a court email last week saying that all future dates had been stayed, according to the DA's office. District Attorney Alvin Twinkie Braggs is still slated to file a recommendation to Judge Juan Merchan on how to proceed. Merchan can then, at that point, move to either delay Trump's sentencing until after he leaves the White House, can dismiss the conviction outright, which is what he should do, okay, or can grant a sentence of unconditional discharge, which would leave the conviction intact, but free Trump from any prison time, fines, or probations. So, as you recall, Trump was convicted back in May, supposedly found guilty of 34 counts of falsifying business records, stemming from a case that was made about payments from porn star Stormy Daniels, which could have landed him a maximum sentence of up to 4 years in prison. But here's the thing. They still haven't named what law he broke. What law was he attempting to cover up for these 34 counts? I mean, really? I don't understand this. If he doesn't dismiss the conviction outright, I just can't see where this thing is going to go. But anyway, the presidential race and Trump's victories thrown the timeline for the court proceedings into the fog of uncertainty. So earlier this month, he granted a request from the prosecution to stay all of the deadlines associated, including the planned sentencing date for November 26th in the wake of the victory. Prosecutor Matthew Colangelo said in their request, the people agree that these are unprecedented circumstances, which he then added would allow for prosecutors to better evaluate the impact of his election as president. So yeah, they need to essentially throw this out, and Merchan really should throw this out. If Merchan doesn't throw it out and actually sentences him, don't be surprised if Trump goes and appeals it. Because again, there's even some question as to the stretching of this entire situation into the state court as to whether or not it should have been a federal court matter, which the Federal Elections Commission people actually got on the stand and said, how is this a federal elections violation that you're claiming? Because we already looked at it and we found that there is nothing here. There's no there, to kind of steal the words from Joe Biden. So anyway, yeah, again, I personally think they're just trying to draw this out as much as they can. Eventually, it should just get dismissed. It never should have been put in the first place, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, it's just a mess. Bragg's office has insisted that its case is focused solely on Trump's personal behavior, but not his actions as president. However, you'll recall there were people who were testifying at this trial who would have been covered by immunity. And so this is why. This is why we have such a conundrum on all of this. So, and it is, I mean, Trump is, in my opinion, Trump's right. This is a politically motivated case known as a witch hunt for it. So, yeah. Further down here, it says, even if Trump's convictions were upheld, the president-elect has a myriad of ways to appeal the case or get the charges against him dismissed before November 26th, making it all but certain he will face no time behind bars. And so, yeah. So basically, that's kind of the situation for that. But that isn't the only case, folks. That isn't the only case. Don't forget, we have Fani Willis. down in Georgia, the election appeals, or the election case. But here's the thing. Something strange happened down there. And as of now, I'm not aware of the reasons why. But you'll recall that there was questions as to whether or not Fani Willis and her boyfriend, Nathan Wade, whether they acted inappropriately on the case. And so what essentially happens with this, or what happened with this, is they went up again, they got called into question. The actions of the prosecution team got called into question, whether or not they acted inappropriately and shouldn't even be a part of the case, because Nathan Wade was getting paid by Fani Willis's office, an exorbitant amount of money, by the way, for his participation in this. And that, of course, was being funneled back toward Fani Willis in terms of lavish vacations, etc., etc. And so what ended up happening is they had a hearing. They tried to get Fani Willis excused from the case. Judge McAfee went ahead and said, okay, no, if Nathan Wade or Fani Willis decide to step down, either one of them, I'll be okay with that. Well, Nathan Wade stepped down almost immediately, and Fani Willis was then appealed. That particular decision was appealed to the Georgia Appeals Court. Well, the Georgia Appeals Court went and said, hey, we'll hear the arguments on this. And they set it up for, I believe it was going to be in January of 2025. Well, now, according to this article in the Epoch Times, the Georgia Appeals Court, for some strange reason, canceled the oral arguments session for the Trump bid to disqualify Fani Willis. So they canceled the scheduled oral argument that was, it was scheduled to take place on December 5th at 10:30. And the brief that was ordered on November 18th read that the oral argument scheduled to take place at the time date is hereby canceled until further order of the court. So, I don't know what's going on. And apparently neither are Trump's attorneys, or at least they haven't responded to the Epoch Times yet to reach out, because they reached out to Trump's attorneys for a explanation as to why and a comment, and nothing has come back. And even the writer here in the article says it's unclear what prompted the appeal court's order. Meanwhile, Trump's other criminal cases seem poised to end after his electoral victory this month. And that was where they were talking about Jack Smith's request for the Court of Appeals in the 11th Circuit to pause his ongoing challenge to a lower court ruling that dismissed his prosecution against Trump in Florida. You'll recall that one was Eileen Cannon. Judge Cannon went and dismissed because of the fact that Jack Smith was unconstitutionally appointed, which he was. So anyway, he appealed that decision to the 11th Circuit. And then he also, he subsequently said, hey, you want to just pause that. And then he also paused the Judge Chutkan filed to Judge Chutkan and said, hey, we got to pause that too. He said that in that case, though, that he was doing it because of the Department of Justice's policy about prosecuting a sitting president is basically a no-go, or a no-no, whichever way you want to call it. That's part of the 2000 memo from the DOJ that said, now, again, he's expected to file a follow-up brief for both DC and Florida by December 2nd. So we got him coming. So anyway, so we'll just have to kind of see what the heck is going on here. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's happening on here. Now, the Heritage Foundation's Vice President John Malcolm, and this would actually apply to both cases, by the way, said that the supremacy clause in the U.S. Constitution would likely interfere with the Georgia case is probably going to interfere with the New York case as well. And constitutes this is like, we're in very new legal territory here as far as this goes. So yeah. So just all kinds of different stuff. And then of course, McAfee has already dismissed a couple of counts, leaving 5 of the original 13 now that he's gone through and dismissed a bunch of other counts as well. So it's going to be interesting. These things are going to be interesting for sure. Well, speaking of court cases, preparing for court cases, all this other stuff. Here in Breitbart, multiple DOJ and FBI officials are starting to weigh whether or not they should get a lawyer in case they are going to be criminally investigated. Now, I'm just going to point out that if you haven't really done anything wrong, why would you be considering a lawyer until you actually get charged with something? Not that I'm saying that getting a lawyer would necessarily be indicative of potential criminal behavior. It's more of a protective measure, so you can't necessarily read into that. Okay. But it's just kind of interesting that there are multiple people who are looking at this. There are also multiple people who have reportedly said that they would leave should Matt Gaetz be elected or be selected as Attorney General, meaning he's already nominated. He would be affirmed or appointed or whatever. And also, too, Kash Patel has been floated as a name that would be used to go to the FBI. There's a lot of people who are talking about FBI folks that are planning on leaving should Kash Patel become the FBI director. Folks, I don't know. I don't see any downside with that, to be honest with you. I really don't. I mean, if you're considering leaving and just because somebody's coming in, that would indicate that there might be an actual problem, that you might have actually done something that you should be worried about. Well, yeah, that's kind of the situation here. And so now they're both there talking about this. So Matt Gaetz and Kash Patel, even just the names are making people shake in their boots. So again, I don't see any downsides at this point. I really don't. I'm not seeing anything that is a downside yet. So, like I said last night, hey, no buyer's remorse here. None whatsoever. No buyer's remorse at all. All right, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com. Get yourself an account. Getting an account is free, people. It really is. All you have to do is sign up. And once you sign up, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button once you find it so that you can be notified every single time that I go live. Also, too, before you take off, make sure you hit those thumbs up buttons, those like buttons, across all of my platforms, whether it is X, Facebook, YouTube, and, of course, Rumble. We will see you tomorrow night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here for Whiskey Wednesday. It's one of my long-form program days, but we will see you for Whiskey Wednesday right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.
The previous broadcast was produced and is owned by Active Eye Media LLC. All rights reserved.